We're here today with members of the judicial and legislative branches to sign into law House Bill 463, a major step in a series of steps to reverse the stubborn problem that is hurting this Commonwealth financially and socially. Between 1985 and 2010, Kentucky's prison population grew from about 5,700 inmates to more than 20,700 inmates, a jump of more than 260%. At the same time, the cost of housing those prisoners grew at an even faster pace. Between fiscal year 1990 and fiscal year 2000, general fund corrections spending in Kentucky grew from $140 million to $440 million. That's an increase of 214% in just 10 years. Even for those of us well versed in state government operations, those numbers are alarming. And they're especially troublesome when you consider that every dollar spent on an inmate is a dollar that could have gone toward things like classroom teaching, children's dental care, creating jobs, and expanding technology. Of all the problems that I inherited, this is one of the most complex. Fortunately, over the last few years, we've made a lot of headway. In fact, our prison population, after decades of dramatic increases, has dropped each of the past 3 years. That's occurred because of aggressive efforts to bring common sense to Kentucky's penal code and to address some of the reasons people commit crimes. Shortly after I took office, I directed Secretary J. Michael Brown from the Justice and Public Safety Cabinet to reassemble the Kentucky Criminal Justice Council. I asked him to comprehensively review Kentucky's penal code, sentencing guidelines, and other issues related to the escalating cost of our criminal justice system. The council included members of the General Assembly, the judicial branch, and other stakeholders. Our efforts got a boost when Secretary Brown was invited to participate in the National Governors Association meeting on sentencing and corrections, a policy retreat funded by the Pew Charitable Trust. Accompanying him were two other administration officials, Mike Hayden, now my Chief of Staff, and Deputy Budget Director John Hicks. After nearly a year of study, the Justice Council presented its recommendations, several of which were implemented by executive order. Others were adopted by the General Assembly during the legislative sessions of 2009 and again in 2010. Still other recommendations were incorporated in House Bill 463, which we're here today to sign. House Bill 463, importantly, passed overwhelmingly in both chambers, 96-1 in the House, where it originated, and 38-0 in the Senate. Like me, our legislators and our judicial branch understand the magnitude of this corrections problem and the need to address it in a significant way. House Bill 463 represents an overhaul of Kentucky's penal code. It's the result of a multi-year effort involving many partners and bringing together members of the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. These include officials from the Justice Cabinet and Correction Department, legislators, prosecutors, justices, and local officials, all acting through the auspices of the bipartisan, interbranch, Task Force on the Penal Code and Controlled Substances Act. The task force completed its work with the guidance and expertise of the national nonprofit Pew Center on the States, and I want to thank the center for their efforts here. As you will recall, last August, we came together up in the state reception room at a news conference, and we came together with the legislative and judicial branches to announce the beginning of this particular effort and to announce that $200,000 from the executive branch budget had been set aside to fund it. The purpose of House Bill 463, sponsored very ably and carried very ably by Representative John Tilley, a Democrat, and Senator Tom Jensen, a Republican, is to decrease the state's prison population, to reduce incarceration cost, to implement programs that reduce crime and to increase overall public safety. It does so in part by modernizing drug laws to reflect the difference between hardcore sellers and low-risk, nonviolent drug offenders who possess small amounts of drugs, and by reinvesting savings in drug treatment opportunities for offenders who need it. The law also strengthens probation and parole by basing key decisions on the risk posed by offenders and improving supervision, and it links offenders to appropriate community resources. It enables the state to continue to be tough on crime, but at the same time to be smarter about it. The 7 people who served on this task force and were instrumental in writing this bill deserve special recognition. Obviously, these officials represent diverse experiences and perspectives, meaning that House Bill 463 was truly a collaborative effort. And while this is not an end-all solution, because this problem will require an ongoing effort, we have made a significant step forward with this legislation. We will have the tools to start, I think, in a very significant way addressing the issues that will bring us all to a better place when it comes to the correction system in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Thank you very much. All right, here we go. Get over there. Third. That's right. Yeah.